All right, guys. So I've been getting a lot of questions on how to self-muscle test. This is actually pretty cool once you figure out your own body and what your yes and no is. You can literally use it how I use it in the clinic to kind of figure out where I need to go when I work with people. And then I use it for myself a lot when I'm out and about, and if I go out to eat, or if I'm thinking about buying a certain supplement or a specific type of CBD or whatever it may be. You can literally use muscle testing for everything. Some people get muscle testing, or they give muscle testing a bad rap. I'm not really sure why. Maybe because there's a lot of skepticism around it. A lot of times when I discuss muscle testing with a lot of other therapists, especially other physical therapists, they are thinking and used to like the old way that we were taught muscle testing, where it was more to gauge or assess the strength of a muscle. So everything was given like a numerical, like a 5 out of 5, a 4 out of 4, 3 minus out of whatever. So this muscle testing is nothing like that at all. When you're muscle testing, you are not trying to assess the strength of the muscle, okay? I just want to get that out of the way, make sure everyone is clear, okay? If we are self-muscle testing, it is not to see how weak or how strong the muscle is. Self-muscle testing is more to assess the nervous system's response. So when I'm talking to people in my clinic, I don't usually say, hey, I'm going to do some muscle testing. I need to figure out like what's going on. I usually have the conversation around it as we're going to have a conversation with your nervous system and kind of see what's going on in your system, what's popping up, where do I need to work to make you better? Okay, so again, it's not necessarily testing the muscle for muscle strength. Okay, so there's a lot of different ways to self-muscle test. I'm going to show you all the different ways that I'm aware of. I'm sure there's more. A lot of these pull from like energy diagnostics techniques from way back when, applied kinesiology concepts. A lot of these concepts have been around for many, many decades. What people have done pretty much is kind of repurposed and repackaged those and then put their own spin on everything. So this stuff is not new. I know a lot of allergists use it to basically test different allergies. They may have you hold on to a tincture of something and then they will muscle test you. Okay, you're either going to get a yes or a no depending on what your yes or no is. You can use muscle testing to assess any type of sensitivities. You can, like I sometimes do it when if I need CBD, I'll just be like, how many drops do I need today? I'll put it to my chest and then muscle test myself. Supplements, protein powders, hair products, literally everything you put in your body. You can do it with the air around you if you have good air quality, the lighting. So I'm probably going to get flipped out today because I'm under fluorescent lighting right now. Noise level, again, like I said, food. The choices are endless and limitless. Okay, so let's talk about muscle testing. There's a bunch of different ways, which I'm going to show you. There is the circle or the O, okay? There is the index finger through the O, or the index finger and thumb, okay? There is sway. There is, this is one I like to use where I have my third finger straight. My index finger is going to actually push down on my third finger. So I'll either get a yes or a no. Okay. I already said this one. I said this one. There's also one where you can kind of just like snap, not snap, but just friction between your fingers. Okay. So you'll get a yes or you'll get a no. Yes or no. I'm trying to think if there's any other ones. I think those are all the ones that I pretty much use on a daily basis. You can obviously do your arm, okay? It's just sometimes I feel like that's not as accurate. And again, I'm going to show you all these, but understand you might have to try, you might have to practice. It's kind of like another language that you have to learn, and then you have to be pretty grounded yourself, so you can't come in with any preconceived notions. You can't be thinking about like what's going on later because that's all going to affect your testing. So again, you want to stay pretty grounded, make sure you stay pretty hydrated. Try not to bring any energy into the room of your own crap when you're working with people or even, you know, working with yourself. So let's talk about the different ways. So everyone's a little bit different. Everyone has a different yes or no. Okay, so if you're not sure what is what, you can repeat this a couple times, and I will just stand with my feet flat on the ground so I have pretty much equal pressure. And again, you can do it with your eyes open, eyes closed, depending on what's easier for you. I typically like to do with my eyes closed. And you're simply just going to ask the question, show me a yes. So I went forward on my yes. Okay, now I'm going to ask the question, show me a no. And you can see that I went backwards, okay? So that's pretty typical for me. My yes is always going to be forward. My no is always going to be back, okay? If I happen to have a day where I test myself and maybe I'm stressed out, maybe I didn't sleep well the night before, maybe I ate something that I wasn't supposed to eat, if that test flips, so if I say show me a no and I go forward and I'm like, hey, wait, like I always go forward on a yes, now all of a sudden I just did it on a no, I might want to do some clearing, some breathing clearing techniques, some grounding techniques, things to kind of like wipe out my system, make it less energetically dysfunctional. And then I'll retest myself and make sure now I'm back on the same page. And if I say yes, yes is actually moving forward, okay? So we have the sway test, yes is forward, backwards is going to be no. Again, it doesn't have to be that way for everyone. Some people's no is going to be forward. Some people's yes is going to be backwards. You just want to make sure it's consistent for what you are. So like I said, if you know you always go forward on yes, that's going to be what your yes is, okay? So the same thing goes with all of the other tests. So if I'm going to do the index finger through my, through the circle, through the O, okay? I'm just going to say, I'm going to ask a question and make sure your questions are clear and not lengthy. Okay, so I'm going to say, my name is Becky. My name is Dave. Okay, so obviously my name is Becky, so that's going to be my yes. My name is not Dave, so that's going to be my no. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing with the O-ring technique, so I have both clamped around each other. Okay, and I'm going to say the same thing. My name is Becky. My name is Dave. Okay, so here is my yes, here is my no. And then the same thing you can do with the finger technique. So I'm going to say, my name is Becky, and my name is Dave. Okay, so obviously this is my yes, and then this was my no. Okay, again, takes some practice. It's pretty easy to do it with objects that you know of, like your name. You obviously know what your name is, so start with that first. Play around with it, practice it, see if you get consistent with your answers, okay? You can also try like some objects. So like, let me grab this, and then I'm gonna grab just a pen here, something easy. You know, we're not asking questions like, you know, is gluten in this food? That might be a little bit harder for you, but right now I'm gonna hold this pen, okay? And I'm gonna say, this is a pen, or is this a pen? Okay, is this a pencil? Okay, so that was for the sway test, all right? I'm gonna hold this bottle. This is a little Bach flower tincture bottle, okay? So if I wanted to, I could ask basically which tinctures I need. Like I could put it at my heart and I could just say, is there agrimony in this? Is there lavender in this? Okay. Pretty much you can do it with anything. If you know that, like for me, I don't eat gluten. So a lot of times if I'm looking at different supplements or if I go out to eat, I may secretly muscle test myself and just say, is there gluten in this food? And I'll get either a yes or a no, okay? So that's muscle testing or nervous system response testing 101. I showed you all the different positions that you can try. It might be a little weird when you go out shopping to be swaying around. So if you can maybe find something a little more discreet and then get good at it and practice it. Don't second guess yourself. Like I said, don't have any preconceived notions in your mind. Try to go in with an empty, open mind. And then just see kind of what answers you get. See if they're consistent with what you're seeing. So like I said, try easy objects first, okay? And then establish what your yes and your no is. And then as you get more comfortable in knowing again that your yes is always going to be forward or backwards or yes versus no, then you can start asking a little more complicated questions like, is the fluorescent lighting bothering my eyes today? So I got a yes. Is the air quality in my room here okay? I got a yes. Let's see if I can find something that might trigger. Can't think of anything off the top of my head right now. So again, if anyone has any questions, wants further help with this, you know, I'm still working with people remotely. I'm working with people over Zoom. There's a lot of really crazy stuff that we can do over Zoom as far as clearing out trauma, clearing out emotions. A lot of people I've had sessions with, I've already taught them how to self-muscle test. There's actually quite a few different ways. Another technique that I like to do a lot of too, which is going to be probably a little bit more than what this session is for you guys. Another easy way is just your breath. Using your breath, you know what it sounds like when you inhale, when you exhale. So as you're moving around throughout your day, especially when you're working out or maybe doing yoga or warming up or whatever it might be, or you're like thrown into specific situations, listen to see what your breath is doing. Listen how your breath has changed. You should be able to take nice deep breaths in and out like you normally do, like you normally know what it sounds like in every position that you get into. So a lot of times when I'm personal training and working with a lot of my clients, I will put them in different positions and then we kind of monitor and see what their breath is doing. Has their breathing changed? Maybe they now notice that their inhale isn't as large or as deep. And they may notice that the exhale tends to be very short and shallow. So that's going to be a cue to you and then to me that, hey, there's probably something going on in this position that we might need to vet out a little bit more and figure out what's causing that. So that just tells me we don't want to hang out in this position too long. We might need to regress whatever movement we are working on, get better at that, and then try to go back into that position again. If you get thrown into certain situations, you can literally listen to what your breathing is doing. So maybe you go into a store that you really don't like, or maybe you're going into the office and there's someone in there that you just really don't like and you don't get along with. Try to feel what's going on in your body. Listen to what your breath is doing. Is your nice big diaphragm breathing that you were doing normally all day now all of a sudden very short and shallow in here with very short inhales and very short exhales? That's going to tell you something. That's going to alert you that there's something going on. Something in your nervous system and your body is not happy. You can start muscle testing yourself and figuring out, where is this coming from? Okay, is this a structural thing? Is this a physiological thing? Is this an emotional thing? Is this a smell thing, an air thing, a food thing? I mean, literally it could be anything. And then once you figure out, like narrow it down, like let's say, hey, maybe that it's an emotional thing, okay? You could figure out, well, which emotion is it? Is it anger? Is it grief? Is it sadness? Is it happiness? Is it joy? You could go on and on and on. And if you get a yes for anger, then you want to categorize that and subcategorize it even more. Is it anger being at work? Is it anger being at my desk? Is it anger with the person who's sitting next to me? Is it anger with whatever employee? And you could run through all the different employees. And then once you figure out who it is, then again, you can keep narrowing it down and figuring out, well, what is it? What happened? Was there something that that person did, you know, a couple weeks ago that you're still spewing about? You just kind of keep really narrowing it down till you figure out what exactly the issue is. And then clearing it is actually pretty easy. There's a couple different techniques. One, I usually like to do some deep breathing. Okay, so it might be 2 breaths, 3 breaths, might be 5 breaths. And then you're gonna kind of wait and see, like, if you sigh, if you feel like you take a big breath in and out and everything just kind of relaxes, or if you're swallowing, like a lot of times people will swallow, which is actually a correction that I use with PDTR. So a lot of stuff to kind of hack into your vagus nerve and the limbic system. So again, reach out if you have any other questions. If you need help with anything, I'm pretty easy to get a hold of, whether it's through email, text, Facebook Messenger. I'm here for everybody, okay? So that's it for today. If anyone has any questions, again, hit me up, and hopefully I'll be back with some more fun tips for you. All right.